The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business. From $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm Tim Calloway. We have a very special award-winning guest for you today, all the way from the Big Apple, New York City, Jeff St. Arromand. He is an award-winning television producer. He is with the Tricia Lee. He is a partner of the Tricia Lee Group and has sold over 100 million in the last 6 years. How are you, Jeff?
I am well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And I was probably got some stale numbers on that. I apologize if the numbers are bigger. This is your format. I will stand corrected and humbly accept.
Indeed. I'll tell you, just this year alone, which is a down year for us, we did just over 60 million this year alone.
Fantastic.
So it was a good year, but we're looking to do even bigger and better things, especially in this market. We expect things to get on the other side. I think, as a lot of people have the similar idea, though no one has a crystal ball, but we're thinking, rates drop in the spring, activity continues to increase as we've seen thus far in New York City for the top of the year so far. So we expect it to be a pretty robust year.
Fantastic. I love that positive attitude for sure. Well, let me ask you this, and I ask this of all my guests, over 300 and some odd over the past year and a half. How did you get into real estate? Were you a 5-year-old tugging at your parents' pants string saying, Mom, Dad, I want to sell real estate? Or were you like the rest of us where you kind of fell into it? Now, I know your story a little bit better than most because we talked a little bit about your background. I did some due diligence. You got a great story, and I'm sure everybody would love to hear it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I like to coin this phrase, the power pivot. Because my career, as you alluded to initially, I worked in television sports for quite some time. And just to correct you, I'm a 2-time Emmy Award-winning producer.
Oh.
And
bravo.
Thank you. Worked with everyone from, I always like to say, from Kanye West to Tom Brady, as those two names are really apropos right now. And I've always had interest in real estate. In fact, my parents moved from New York City to Florida when I was about 16 years old. And I just had a moment not too long when I realized that at that age, I was essentially their realtor. I was going to all the model homes, learning about the neighborhoods, comparing one home to the next. And then I was like the quasi realtor for other New Yorkers coming in. But I didn't even realize that at that point. I just was talking to someone about that recently. But anyway, to come back full circle to the transition from television into real estate, while working in television, I always had that bug, as it were. I got my license, as I was working in television, and I realized that I really had an interest. So initially I was, in the edit room, working on great pieces and then trying to negotiate a deal simultaneously. And I kind of saw the direction that television was going. Knowing that, I was a freelancer, a permalancer, worked for NBC, CBS, TNT, and, they were making some costs. They were just cutting costs. And so that was post the recession back then. And I decided to really take the jump into real estate and go and not just dip my toe in, I jumped in head first. So I did that, got involved into coaching. I did tremendous amount of coaching. Everyone from Tom Ferry, Buffini, Ninja Selling, and even here with Seller Like Sirhan. And I just thought it was the ideal time for me to really use the skill sets from television, and all of which was very transferable into the real estate market. And it was the ideal time. And, also, I'm a big follower of Gary Vee. And he was a trailblazer with, getting the content out.
Yeah.
And I would dabble a little bit and put some content out. And, in my past life, I worked as a producer. And so it was a bit of a challenge for me to be comfortable getting in front of the camera now. And as a producer, you really there's talent, and you're the person giving them direction. And now, so I had to just wrap my head around that and just get out of my own way. And I think that's the biggest issue with a lot of agents. They just don't get out of their own way and they waiting for something to be perfect as opposed to just the consistency with the content. So ultimately, when I landed here at Sirhan, it was a perfect mix because we have a tremendous in-house, well, the only firm that has a full service studio team here. These guys are really talented, on the level of the production that I did on network level. So within the past year, and this has been a new firm, been here for about a year. And, I really went all in on that and really give out great content. And I just understand this content isn't for me, this content or the brokers, it's content for my consumers. Right. And that's the one thing I would tell folks as you start to, move forward in that direction. You're not competing with other brokers. You're competing with your clients. Not even competing, you're providing a service and information for your clients in effort for them to know who you are and what you're doing. And the one good thing about me is that because I came in from a different industry and really wasn't that familiar with the whole transactional process, which is why I invested the time and money on coaching, I just realized I need to communicate my information to that consumer that may not be that savvy as well. Right. And so that's how I determined what's the content, what am I going to provide, and that's the route I've been going. Hopefully, in a nutshell, gives you an idea of my journey, as it were.
It's perfect. It's perfect, Jeff. Thank you so much. And really what I got from that is how to really be the consultant versus just selling. Absolutely. Ultimately, that's what it's about. It's a consultancy and people pay for that consultancy,
Completely.
Yeah.
And with us agents, and I'm sorry, I'll say this one thing is us as agents, our job isn't to piggyback on your point. We are consultants because everything is at their fingertips. They don't need us to go see properties or sell property. Right. What they need is how do you decipher all this information that they have and how does it resonate in that micro world of where they are as opposed to the macro that we hear from the headlines and everything else.
Sure. And I think everyone should have taken from what we went through for the past 2 years with COVID and everything else. People will buy a home based on, just what they see, right? I mean, if it were just like a sushi bar, and there's just a conveyor went by, there are people who will buy just looking at video or whatever it may be. It's all the other moving parts, right? It's the moving parts people don't want to have to deal with. People don't want to negotiate. People don't want to fill out paperwork. People don't want to get inspections. I don't want to, if I'm a consumer buying anything else, I don't want to deal with that, right? No. So that's why we pay for a consultant. Yeah. So I'm 100% with you on that for sure. So tell me about the team. The Tricia Lee team, tell me about being a partner on Tricia Lee.
So that's an interesting dynamic. At least I thought it was, but then as I, started working with a lot of other people, I see many more partners are doing it. So Tricia Lee's my fiance, and this is the first year that we actually worked together because we had successful careers separately. But then when we decided to make that the joint jump over to Sirhan, we're like, you know what, this really makes sense. And so we really had to determine, what are our skill sets and let each of us individually run with that. So, I'm great at marketing. She's probably a little better than I am in marketing. So I'll let her run with that. I know I have complete confidence in the TV and the content piece. I'll run with that. I'm better with being a mentor and coaching members of our team. So I'll run with that piece. Certain transactions that may take a longer process and have a lot of different layers involved, I'll do that. She has her sphere because she's an entrepreneur as well, and she had several businesses. And so that's her sphere of influence that she really cements. And nice. I get into the sports and entertainment field and try to expand on that piece. So we both do our things separately, but we come together. Sort of like Voltron. We all have different when you come together to form one monster, and that's what we try to do.
Very nice. I said I talked to so many brokers and agents, and I say, and they'll say, oh, well, my spouse and I are business partners, and we have our own broker or broker dealer, and I could have a whole nother podcast just about the spousal relationship of working with your spouse in a partnership on a full-time basis, especially in real estate, where it's a 9-headed beast. There's so many different things. And I'm just going to ask you to expound a little bit on that. You were talking about she has her sphere, you work in, in sports and things like that. not to get too detailed, Jeff, but tell me about coming home at night. And the reason I say that, right, what is that dinner table talk or dinner, at your local restaurant? Is it like, hey, let's block that out and talk about us and everything in our sphere? Or does it carry over? Does the day carry over and you basically are matching note cards? How does that work?
I mean, frankly, it's a little bit of both. We try to establish hard outs. After 7 o'clock, there's no discussion of work whatsoever. That's in a perfect world, but realistically, that's not necessarily the case. So there may be some things, and there, as we all know, how the ebbs and flows of this business. There are going to be times when she just needs to download and just deal with whatever type of awful day she had. And the same thing with me as well. So there may be some, outliers to that, but as a general rule, 7 o'clock, we're done. There's no discussion of that whatsoever. And one other thing that we kind of came to a mutual agreement, especially this year, I'm someone that really likes to outwardly discuss my day, what am I about to do and everything else. And she's a heavy pen and pad and writing everything down several times and has her whole thing together. So we decided, you know what, you don't have to tell me what you're doing today. Just let, I don't need to hear it. I don't need to hear it. Just know that this is what you're doing. That's it. And then if there's any time in between the day that we need to communicate about stuff, we can do it. But the one thing that kind of, that's helpful is that I'm a big office person. I'm in the office right now. It's just at the Inman, New York and the Hilton. She loves to work from home. So that gives us some separation. We're not in the office together, all day. So that's really been the big difference, is that our business and our way of thinking and how we operate is really different. So that's the saving grace.
Yeah, very nice. I love it. I love that. I love that story. I love hearing those stories. My wife generally, as I told you, is not in town now, but she's generally in the other room doing something very similar to myself. So we have a similar dynamic, and I love discussing with other people how they handle that dynamic. I think I could talk about it all the time. Yeah. Might be my next venture.
Well, so, it's always a work in progress. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, for sure. That's how we make it work, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we talked about how you got started. We talked about you and your partnership there. Let's talk about the future a little bit. You'd said earlier, you said something that caught my ear, and you said nobody has a crystal ball, and I was thinking, I always say, let's put on our prognostication hats, which none of us have. But tell me what the next 1, 3, and 5 years look like for you and Tricia or yourself, as a team. What does that look like, and what are some of the plans, and how do you plan on getting there?
Right. So for us, our primary thing, which we've accomplished, but now we want to continue to move upward, is just to increase our price point. We talked about what our volume was this last year, a little over 60 million, but we want to get our price point, our average price point, to about 5.5 to 6 million consistently. And I think as that, and that is happening. In fact, Friday, I'm going to see a $14 million property, and hopefully put an offer in there. That'll do tremendous amount for increasing that average right off the bat there. So that's really our goal, is doing that. Also, and this is so fresh because, again, I just came from this conference. A lot of times we look to reinvent ourselves and do something different. And right now, it's the time to really get back to the basics. And what I mean by that is, and hopefully we all are doing it, but, we kind of stirred away from it a little bit. These monthly newsletters, these mailers to the different markets. A lot of time, because of technology, we want to change things, which we are doing, and we're on a pulse of that. The basics is very important because a lot of agents are moving away from it, and there's market share to be had in by doing those things. So that's sending out those mailers, like I said, sending out that monthly newsletter, writing the handwritten notes. Those things always work. Period. Everything else that we're doing, building our brand, which we're definitely doing that, so that the next generation of buyers and sellers know where we are, or the children of those older buyers and sellers know who we are, and they can recommend us to our parents, as has happened in the past. But most importantly, remember that foundation, and that will help us get to the next tier of price points. And leveraging where I'm at. I mean, I'm working at Sirhan with Ryan Sirhan, a great firm. leveraging that to really get us into that higher price point. And thus far has been effective, and we're looking to continue to go in that direction.
No, that's fantastic. I love it. I love what I'm hearing. So let me ask you this, Jeff. We all go through trials and tribulations in our business, right? I never say problems because they're only a problem if you make them a problem. We should be the solution. So, but we all go through it.
Mhm.
Tell me about if there was anything I could solve for you, if I had that magic wand and I could solve that one continuous problem. And most people tell me, well, it's just not enough time in the day. But is there one singular problem you would love solved in your business right now? Or are you in Shangri-La utopia where you just don't have those issues?
No, I would say the biggest problem, and I'll say this is for me, but I also think on a broader scale, this is apropos for all agents. It's just really your mindset, taking control of your mindset, because this business, we're doing well. This market has shifted. We have to adjust accordingly. But the biggest obstacle we have is what's going on between these ears, and that voice that we speak to ourselves. And there's one thing that and I gotta admit, I took this from Tony Robbins, and he mentioned, not negotiating with your mind, determining what you're going to do, and you no longer negotiate. So for me, it's a small thing, but it resonates across the board. That's the alarm clock rings at 5 a.m. I'm up at 5 a.m. I'm on that Peloton for 45 minutes.
Right.
Then I'm starting my day, and that's it. I mean, do I want to do that? Of course not. I'd rather sleep until at least 6:30, something, 7 o'clock,
Right.
whatever. But you no longer negotiate with your mind. And so when it comes to mindset, that's the thing, not negotiating with your mind, knowing what you're doing, taking the appropriate steps and have the systems in place, but not letting that seep of doubt come in because of where this market is. The more you think about those things, the more, listen, I know everyone talks about how you can really manifest certain things. Manifestation is so important. Yeah. I believe in that, absolutely, but I also believe in doing the work. Manifestation plus doing the work. But if you allow that bit of doubt to come in, that's where the problem happens. And that would be, if you had a magic wand, that's what I would want you to be able to, just throw your wand out and fix it immediately, is to make sure that mindset is always on the ultimate goal of what you want and nothing deters you.
That's fantastic. That's great advice for sure, Jeff. Jeff, how would someone get in touch with you if they either wanted to buy, sell, list, or maybe even join your team, something like that? How would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, and that's we actually expanding our team, added 3 additional agents. So we're definitely expanding.
Fantastic.
I can be reached at multiple platforms: LinkedIn, Jeffrey St. Arromand, Jeffrey St. Arromand. I'm certainly put the graphic up at some point. STARROMAND. Facebook, same as well. I'm on Instagram, is JSA. Jeffrey St. Arromand, JSA_sells, SELLS_NYC. I have a pretty good presence there. My goal there is to get to the 100,000 mark before the end of the year. And we're at 74,000 now. So we're trending in the right direction.
Right on. That's perfect, man. So I always do this, last question of the day, and it's not really a question. As I said earlier, you're the hit. I'm the DJ. I'm just spinning the hit records, right? So take us out. We got a minute or two. Take us out. Something on your mind, soul, your heart that you would like to share with the audience that you think that they need to hear. It could be about business. It could be about you, your family. It could be about your pet. Whatever you think that people need to hear. Lay it out there for us and take us out, Jeff.
I think what's really important, especially in this world of social media and everyone just showcasing the highlight of their career or their lives, and people looking at that as a benchmark as to where they are. And this pertains to a newer agent or a savvy agent or seasoned agent, whomever you are, is give yourself some grace. Know that this is going to be a challenging year. Again, I know this is very redundant. I said it before, have the systems and have the programs in place to move forward, but understand that this is the ultimate cliche. Rome wasn't built in a day. This is going to be a process. Continue to move forward. There are going to be some ebbs and flows. Give yourself some grace, control that mind frame, and move forward. But I would leave with, give yourself some grace.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's sage advice. Jeff St. Arromand, thank you so much for being on the program. It's been wonderful having you. I look forward to catching up with you maybe over the next 3, 6, 9 months. And don't forget my invite. Hit me up if you come down to the Miami area. I'm always around. I'd love to get a chance to meet with you.
No, absolutely. I'll definitely coming down. As you know, Serhan just opened up a new office down in South Florida. So would love to give you a tour once that's up and running and fully functional. So I'll be and who doesn't love Florida? And that's basically I call it the fifth borough in New York,
Yeah, that's for sure. It's 1,000 people a day move here. Now, a lot of people go, well, that doesn't sound like much. It's a big state. And I go, really? Think about how many homes, and about 60% or more buy homes. Think about how many homes that is a day being purchased in the state of Florida. It's a ridiculous amount. And there are obviously highly priced. You mentioned Tony Robbins, believe it or not, neighbor of mine right down the street. I will tell you this, I'm not on the same side of the water as him. So there is a substantial 8-figure difference in the price of our places. There's that all the way to, what a family who, maybe bought in the 300s, in New York or in New Jersey or something like that. There's something for everybody. So that's why I love it. And it is a great place. And I don't think I ever want to leave again. So
no, listen, it's calling me back. Calling me back. So I may be back sooner than you think. And I'm working on my license at the moment. So here's the plan for that.
Love to have you down, man. Have a great week. Be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.